One of the only reasons I ever bothered to fully beat LEGO games as a kid was to see what the post-game had in store. The recent games have sort of stopped doing that, with the Skywalker saga trading in a post-game for a more robust overworld and a lot of collectibles. But I miss it. I miss spamming Reducto, I miss rolling through cities, and most of all, I miss completely wrecking Womp Rats. So in case the bonus levels never return, we're gonna rank every single bonus level across LEGO. Before we start, what is a bonus level? Well, there's a couple of boxes that a level needs to check to be considered a bonus. The easiest one is to have the game flat out tell you play bonus. Otherwise, it's sort of up for interpretation. Take LEGO Marvel's Avengers for example. The 3 extra missions aren't required to beat the main story, which might make you think they count as bonus stages. But when you do go to play them, the game considers them to be story. They also occur during the main campaign, not after, making them more of optional missions than bonus levels. Also, they kinda blow. To not waste too much time on an intro, the games we won't be covering due to similar circumstances are Avengers, The Force Awakens, LCU, LEGO Movie 1 and 2, Jurassic World, Worlds, and the Skywalker saga. With all of that out of the way, let's start out with the worst bonus level ever conceived, Gotham City from LEGO Batman 2. Man. Really? What is this? What is this? Damn, this level kinda sucks. The collecting 1 million stud trope is found in a majority of the games on this list, and this is by far the worst iteration. You don't get to choose your characters that you spent so much time unlocking on your first visit, and the level itself is just boring. There's tons of backtracking between suit signals just to waste time, which, could be solved by letting us choose our characters. There's not enough destruction to be satisfying, and a lot of the things you need to do are weirdly cryptic. I still have no idea what the point of this telescope is supposed to be. On top of that, levels like this are supposed to represent miniature versions of the hub world. And yeah, I see the roller coaster and the zoo mock-ups, but that's pretty much it. There's so much missing and so much empty space, it feels like TT Games just kind of forgot to add stuff into the final version of the level. You also, at a random point in the level, get the penguin added to your party. Which is cool, but why stop there? Why is he the only character that you get? In my opinion, each villain location should have been represented, and you should have gained access to them once you cleared that section. It took me 45 minutes to beat this level. 45 minutes that I'm never getting back. The world of DC can't seem to catch a break, with DC supervillains being the second worst collection of bonus levels on this list. These 3 levels are unlocked after the story, and are pretty bare bones short levels passed off as bonuses. It might be me not really enjoying the level design of this era of games, but these just feel like they were half-baked ideas scrapped from the main story. I couldn't even beat Granny Knows Best in story, as 2 of the button prompts overlapped and broke a puzzle. The Superman level was extremely slow, with you having to pilot this weird craft to 3 different terminals, and then spam attack on a boss. And the final level pretty much just beats itself. They're both way too short and way too slow at the same time, and offer little to no substance. Heading back to the solo 1 million stud collectathons, we have the LEGO Ninjago the movie, the video game, with a level titled Destroy Ninjago City. It's on the more unique side of the 1 million stud levels, with it not being tied to a stud count, but rather a destruction percentage. Now, I think this is a fantastic way to deal with these levels, getting a more precise number on what you still have to do, but the level is very stale. You play as gigantic minifigures who can't jump and only have 2 attacks, and you just need to walk around and hit buildings. There's no cool puzzles, unique set pieces, it's just hold forward until you're done. The level also features a really weird audio bug where if you turn all of your game sounds down to 0, you're left with a looping residual scream sound effect for the entire time. Either way, good idea, poor execution, and lots of screams. Pirates of the Caribbean is in a similar vein, where the idea around this game's bonus level, titled The Ride, is pretty cool, though it ends up being quite lackluster. It's supposed to be a boss rush themed after the coinciding Disneyland ride, where you go through the game's big 3 boss fights minus the Kraken back to back. None of these fights end up being as interesting as the real versions, and it boils down to mashing attack at the end of the day. The one thing saving this level from being lower on the list is the free play speedrun, where you can turn into a dog and wall jump over each wall. It's incredible. The Hobbit falls into a similar boat as Ninjago, but the characters that you play as are way cooler, and the no jumping makes more sense as you're playing as gigantic stone giants. There is one major flaw to this level though, and it's the fact that you don't get to explore almost any of the map. You rack up studs so quickly that by the time you get to anything interesting within the level, it's just over. If this had the same completion percentage as Ninjago, it would be way higher, but as it stands, it's a letdown. Speaking of letdowns, one of my all-time favorite LEGO games has 2 of the worst bonus levels in the entire series. Levels so ugly, puzzle choices so mind-bogglingly awful that I can't put it any higher on this list. LEGO Batman 1. Let's start with Wayne Manor. What are the pros? Well, I really enjoy how different it is from any of the other 1 mil extravaganzas. In the first section, after you get rid of a few rocks and flowers, you enter a 2D platforming segment where you have to grab a ton of purple studs. This section is alright. It can be a bit buggy and it can be hard to tell when you've missed a stud, but it's a breath of fresh air. Then we hit the third room. Why is this real? This just feels like a physics debug room that they forgot to take out of the game and used it to fill half of this bonus level. Imagine going through story mode collecting every single super status and then being rewarded with physics testing. Not to mention the balls that you push into the orange pylons have a chance to randomly explode, making both the casual and speedrun playthrough a nightmare. And we've only covered 1 level. Brace your eyes for the next one. Who chose the color scheme for Arkham? I get it's supposed to be the Joker's aesthetic, green and purple, but it's like letting a prisoner choose the decor of their own prison cell. What are we doing here? Other than that, I guess it's a pretty inoffensive level. The invincible goons are a pain to work around, but it's not impossible. Just an eyesore with nothing special to boost it back up. Going forward, I wouldn't call any of the future levels bad, just uninteresting. These next few entries are reserved for levels that might just feel a bit short, lazy, or included as an afterthought, and nothing fits that bill better than Castle of Doom and Hostage Crisis from LEGO Star Wars 3: The Clone Wars. These 2 levels are played from the villain's perspective, and are based on episodes of the TV show. Castle of Doom, while lacking in a bit of substance, is fine. You get to ride a sand skiff, some speeders, and do a quick boss fight at the end. Hostage Crisis is the more boring of the 2. With the big puzzle of the level being to repeatedly enter clone trooper barracks and build pipes. That's really all you do in the level. Again, not bad, just uninteresting. The same goes for Harry Potter years 1 through 4. Nearly every one of the custom-built levels boils down to finding 3 ingredients, putting them in a cauldron, and then grabbing the gold brick. The lack of variation in the puzzles is what really drags it down for me, which is true for the 1 million stud Voldemort level as well, which feels like it might as well be one long repeating street. To collect 1 million studs, you just shoot these copy and pasted windows over and over again, no custom scenery or set pieces, just reducto and profit. LEGO Marvel's Superheroes comes in with a small 1 million stud level that fails to make use of the game's fun abilities. Being locked into 2 characters who, to be honest, are just pretty similar isn't fun. There's a lot of cool, unique powers in the game, so why lock the level to just the 2 villains? The only real distinction between the 2 is Galactus can fly and Doom can use electrical panels, which shows up a whopping 2 times in the level. I like the miniature version of New York and it's fun to beam everything down, but I wanted more from a game with that robust of a cast of characters. And finally, for our last middle-of-the-road entry, we have LEGO Marvel Superheroes 2. This sequel may not have the titular 1 million collectathon, but what it does have are a unique collection of levels that don't run on for too long. The downside, there's a lot. Normally having a lot of content is a good thing, but when you have this many bonus levels, they start to feel more of like a second campaign than a rewarding bonus. Not always a bad thing, but it is a bit daunting. I see bonus levels as rewards, as victory laps, not chores. I really enjoy that each of these levels has a gimmick going for it, like the roller coaster ride in the second level, but nothing stuck with me enough to throw it in our next, higher echelon of levels, beginning with DC's first and only positive entry on the list, LEGO Batman 3. Not only does Same Bat Time and Same Bat Channel play wonderful homage to the Adam West Batman, it's also all around a solid level, filled with entertaining voiceovers stacked to the brim with references and Easter eggs, and a dance scene that only gets funnier with the music turned off. It makes for a great level. This is what a bonus level should be. It's an added reward for completing the game, with unlocks that you can go back and use during free play and other spots in the overworld, not a collection of half-baked story levels. You know what else? The bonus level is also what allows LEGO Batman 3's any percent speedrun to be beaten in under 5 minutes, with a really strange map unloading glitch. I did a video on that last year and I'll have a link to it down below. Unlike LEGO Ninjago and The Hobbit, LEGO Incredibles nailed the destruction formula. My biggest issue with Ninjago was how limited the movement was, and my issue with The Hobbit was how little of the map you saw. Combining the best of those, we get Omni Droid Rampage. You just turn into a ball and mow buildings down, it's awesome. On top of all of that, you can use the slopes to build up speed and bowl through everything. The destruction meter ensures you get to see and explore most of the map, the movement is fun to use, and it stands out from the rest of the story. What's not to love? The destruction formula got a makeover with LEGO Incredibles, and 1 million stud levels got a makeover with LEGO Harry Potter Years 5 through 7. The first game's Voldemort level was bad, boring, and forgettable, but I really like the sequel's Untitled bonus level. It does a fantastic job making use of all the different spells that you learn, such as Aguamente, Defindo, and even a few of the dark arts. The map is fun to explore, with LEGO-fied versions of Hogwarts and the Weasley house being able to be destroyed, along with more minor areas like Gringotts Vault or the train station. Probably the best possible thing it did, though, was add in more leniency to the formula, allowing you to gain the required studs without having to do literally everything. No longer do you have to wander around the map looking for the one minor thing that you missed, because more often than not, you'll beat the level without even realizing it. It is a great change of pace for the formula, and one that I would love to see done again. Its predecessor, Harry Potter 1 through 4, didn't do the best job of showing off the possibilities of the LEGO level builder. Speedrunner Origin of Chaos did a better job with his soccer mod than the official game ever could, but LEGO Indiana Jones 2 is on the far opposite side of the spectrum. There are 30 regular bonus levels and 6 1 million stud super bonus levels, and while a few are pretty repetitive, a majority of them bring something fresh to the table. There's a boulder chase level in Temple of Doom, a library in Last Crusade, and so much more. It really helps get the creative juices flowing as a player on what you can build yourself. I would go as far as to say that a few of these bonus levels show up their story counterparts. Looking at you, Mac Attack. You can break a lot of these levels wide open pretty easily with super throws and wall jumps, but it doesn't make them any less enjoyable. I'm pretty indifferent on the 1 million stud levels, but they don't do anything to take away from the fun of the first 30, as frustrating as the speedrun can be. Now we're in the top 3, the cream of the crop, the best of the best. These are, in my eyes, some of the best work TT Games has done. Levels so iconic and masterfully made that nothing will ever top them. For number 3, we're going back to LEGO Middle-earth for the level LEGO Middle-earth. Before that, though, if you've enjoyed the video thus far, don't forget to subscribe for more content like this. I also want to know how much of this list you agree with so far, or I guess disagree with, down below, as I'm sure I've made a lot of Marvel and DC fans pretty annoyed today. Hobbit decided to go the Stone Giant route, but Lord of the Rings went the Sauron route, one that paid off very well. This is how it should be done, starting you off as 2 unique characters, but giving you the option to switch to whoever you like. On top of that, there is a lot of leniency within the stud total, but not enough where you don't get to explore the full map. I needed to go to every area at least once to get 1 million, and therefore I got to see and experience everything. The map is well laid out and visually looks super nice, and although every puzzle mainly boils down to just jump attacking, it feels good to destroy everything in your path, much like our number 2 slot, LEGO Star Wars The Complete Saga. Coming in with a whopping 6 bonus levels, only 3 are really worth talking about. But those 3 are so good, it knocked this game all the way to number 2. I'm of course referring to LEGO City, Newtown, and kind of Anakin's Flight. The former are 2 1 million stud collectathons, and yes, although the maps have next to zero leniency in terms of studs, everything is pretty straightforward, and it's unlikely you'll miss a puzzle you can't solve through just turning on exploding blaster bolts. There's a lot of fun puzzles within the maps, from basketball to boating, building giant LEGO letters, forcing down houses, you name it. They're quick, they're fulfilling, and very nostalgic. But then we have the remaining 4. Anakin's Flight is my next favorite, not necessarily in substance as the level is very linear, but more in concept. This level was scrapped from LEGO Star Wars 2, and repurposed as a bonus level for the complete saga. Bringing back scrapped and old levels is a great idea for a bonus, even if the remaining ones end up being not so great. Looking at you, Pod Race Original. This version of Pod Race is even harder than LEGO Star Wars 1's, as the racers all get collision and the timer is a pain on lap 3. I could take it or leave it with Gunship and A New Hope, but their inclusion doesn't hurt the game's score, but it did drag it down just enough to be below our number 1 entry, LEGO Indiana Jones. 3 back-to-back banger levels. Let's start with Young Indy. There has never been a concept so well fit to be a bonus level. A segment of the film that doesn't affect the main plot and doesn't really fit in with the standard 6-level format. Relegating it to a bonus stage feels so right. It's once again pretty short, but it makes up for that in terms of uniqueness. Besides this cool skip you can do around the door, the third act of the level is home to tons of different animals, like giraffes and lions that don't appear anywhere else in the game, which helps the level stand out. The Fedora character unlock is whatever, and I do think the level would have landed itself well if it had the final Star Wars secret you needed to unlock Han Solo, but all in all, it's a great level. Then we get to the best bonus level of all time, Ancient City. Because you get access to the Bazooka Trooper, this level is so much fun to jump into and just spam shots everywhere. Though spamming shots won't get you all the way to the end. You'll have to do some miscellaneous activities like a motorcycle race, archaeology, and of course, the hardest thing in all of LEGO, getting this dinosaur head on top of the body. I love replaying this level, and I think it's masterfully done, leaving us with one final bonus stage to cover, Warehouse. To some, Warehouse is a bit of a letdown. The whole level can be beaten by spamming the target after all, but when you really get down to it, it's home to some really cool stuff. You can ride a tank that you can't use anywhere else in the game, create roads or ramps, ride a motorcycle not found anywhere else, and so much more. This was probably the springboard used for LIJ 2, as a lot of the models carry over, but it's just a fun sandbox to mess around in for a bit. And that is every single bonus level across LEGO ranked. Did you agree, disagree, or something in the middle? A lot of the spots in the middle I could switch around without much argument, but I think I did a decent job of explaining why they're there. Anyways, I hope you've enjoyed, and I'll see you all in a few weeks.